there, welcome back. I'm going to talk now about two Italian cop movies. Now, there's quite a lot of Italian crime movies. I like Italian crime movies. They're very cynical. You know, there is a sense of they bring over from the spaghetti western this sort of cynicism, like all the villains are real scumbags, and humanity is basically reliant on either some cop who can save them or relying on basically the luck to get through it. It's like Italy at the time was going through very tough political times. They come off a fascist era, and you had some highbrow films like conformist and went into the stuff in detail. And there's other the genre films who still had that style of the world's a horrible place and we're dealing with horrible people, and it's like it's the basic cynicism of the world is in full view, which makes these films really enjoyable. So, the tough ones, Umberto Lenzi film, and we have a Sergio Martino film, The Violent Professionals. Now you get a double cover here, so you can see the Italian collection cover, which is more of the old style cover. I always like putting them around if you've got the kind of slip cover, so you can see both versions. I'm going to basically talk about them in the order I watched them, because that's just a better idea. Because Tough Ones is fun, but Violent Professionals is better. Partially because the Tough Ones has a director who's decent in some films but not in others, and Sergio Martino did Violent Professionals. He's a much better director. It's based in the 70s when he had a decent budget, so that there is a difference in like quality of director. So the Tough Ones stars Maurizio Merli and Tomas Milan, and basically Milan walks away with the film. Now Merli was a actor who specialised in this genre. He played Tanzi in this. There was a couple of films he played Tanzi. There's other films where he played Bertie, another detective who was pretty much the same character. He pretty much existed within this genre for the 70s, and then when the genre ended, that was basically him. You know, he was so... He was an actor made for this era. It's hard to imagine him not being in this era. I mean, look at that moustache. That screams 70s Italian cop. And basically, he's a Dirty Harry wannabe. It's based on Dirty Harry, basically. Like, what of a guy who thinks that the law has to be upheld at all costs, who thinks criminals are scum. Do not be nice to people. Just beat the crap out of them. It's basically his superiors hate this attitude, obviously, but so they assign him to the licensing department, which is basically we're sending you away to the office for a while so you can calm down. Does that stop him from coming to investigate? No, he still goes to investigate. He still has cops who he can talk to, and he still goes through a donut china shop. He's trying to hunt down this French gangster who's went to Italy, who's doing these bank robberies, and you know they're trying to find him, but they can't find him. Wherever they get tip-offs to where he is, he's never there, and he's driving them nuts. And Merlia's character is going insane trying to find this one guy. So one of the tip-offs is to this hunchback played by Tomas Milan, and he gets beaten up. Obviously, and they're saying if he's working a butcher's shop in a slaughterhouse, how can he afford a good car? Something's off here, because Milan's character is, you know, it's almost like he's saying to the police, "Come and get me." We both know I'm a scumbag. Come and get me. Milan's great in this. Milan's just having a lot of fun. He's like, I'm going to eat every bit of scenery in this film. I'm going to chew on it, I'm going to enjoy it. And he's just great. Every time you see him, it's like, what's he going to do next? He fakes a suicide at one point to make the police look guilty. He's like, you know, in basically the police bathroom, he cuts one of his wrists just to mess with the police. At one point, Melody makes him swallow a bullet. You know, some of the gangsters kidnap Melody's girlfriend, who's a liberal social worker. There's subplots about drug dealers who are raping their own girlfriend and keeping them on smack just to keep them from leaving. This is just every guy in this film is a total scumbag apart from the cops. Any male you see who's not a cop is portrayed as a total scumbag who has been shot in sight. I mean, they don't seem to think much of women in this film. They're basically either idiots or whores. But the men are especially bad. It's like, if you're not a cop, you have to die. So it's full on misanthropy, really. I mean, you can say misogyny, but it's misanthropy. It's really misanthropy. It's like, it's hard to, even the commentary they bring it up is like, this is a misanthropy film. This is like, you hate everybody. Which is typical of the Italians. I mean, so many of the Italian films are misanthropic. Unless you get a good director who can be a bit more balanced and be ironic with stuff. A lot of the time, it's just this culture at the time is so beaten down by corruption. Everyone knew at this time that the police were corrupt, the politicians were corrupt. And they're doing tough cop movies as if the police aren't corrupt or incompetent. And everyone knew at the time they were. This film's a pure fantasy, but it also has space for like rape scenes and, you know, torture scenes and everything else they could think of, and scenes where people are getting beaten to hell. There's a good chase along the rooftop at one point, which is nice and inventive. A lot of the action stuff's quite inventive. It's not like, compared to Violent Professional, it's not inventive. But for this, it's pretty well done. Merlin can't act to save his life, but he's got screen presence, and that's all it's needed. But he's really, when you ever have to ask him to be in a scene where he's not been a tough cop, he looks lost. And some of the clothes he wears might have been cool in the 70s, but don't look good now. But he's just blown off the screen by Milan. Milan is just having fun. And there's some nice twists in the tale, which are quite inventive. And there's some satisfying, violent conclusions for some of the characters. It's a well-made pulp movie, but it's so right-wing. It's pretty much anyone who's not of the viewpoint of the police should do whatever the hell they want and beat up everybody. You're viewed as a wimp, really. And again, this was made at a time when the police were viewed as corrupt and incompetent. So it was like the attitude it was showing was not really attitude that was. It was the dream attitude of what the police could be if you're kind of fascist, right-wing leaning, but it wasn't the reality, like, at all. So this one, enjoyable as pulp, not recommended to be viewed as a serious film in any way, but it's fun. I'll give it that. It's got another Kim Newman commentary with Sean Hogan. There's other commentary by Your Crime director Mike Malloy, and there's some other interviews and things. So it's a nice, plus you get a second disc with the Grindhouse cut called Brutal Justice, and Mike Malloy talks about the distributors of this in America as well. So it's a nice package. It's a really nice package. Now we go to Violent Professionals, which is not a perfect film, but it's so much better than the tough ones. Now, Luc Miranda plays, who even though he's a French actor and looks like a model, he plays another Dirty Harry type cop. But on this occasion, he's actually like suspended for being a Dirty Harry cop early on in the film, because he basically shoots some suspects in dubious circumstances in front of the press. Like, it starts off with as basically where some people he knows, some cops he knows, are doing overtime transporting these three criminals on train from one city to the other. So it's overtime because the police aren't paid that much. He doesn't go himself, but some people he knows and likes, did go, and they get killed in the escape. So when he gets the criminals, he finds the criminals. He leads to hunt the criminals. Criminals shoot a father and his daughter as well, just to prove how scummy they are. And when he sees them, even though they put their guns down a little bit, he's got a gun on them, and they turn a little bit, so it could be viewed as, oh, they might still be aggressive, they might not be giving up. He just shoots them. Well, there's basically a press guy there. They can't hide it, so he's kind of suspended or moved off to another area. You know, it's kept vague. And then it jumps to 6 months later. And basically, at this point, after the thing he got him suspended, he was his mentor was assassinated on the streets. His mentor cop, who was a much more left-leaning guy who follows the rules but investigates. He's a real investigator, and he's trying to turn Miranda around to, like, I know you have a lot of energy and rage, but you have to do more investigation stuff and less shooting stuff if you really want to succeed. And even though Miranda's a guy who likes to shoot a lot of people, he respects the other cop, so when the cop gets killed, he's going to follow up the rules and the clues to find out what happened. So 6 months later, he seems like he's a criminal, as if he's been thrown into force and is now to make a living on the street. And he gets in on this. He finds some clues to get in on this gang. At the same time, he suddenly helps this prostitute and acts like he's a pimp. It's not bad for a cop. But at this point, he's gone from short hair to longer hair. And within this underworld, he started to talk to the junkie woman who is an artist, but is also really into drugs. And he's finding the underworld, he's walking through the underworld, and he's getting closer to this crime gang. But where he's trying to enter them as a driver. Which he eventually does by manipulating things a la Clint Eastwood and Fistful of Dollars. And at a certain point, he's into the gang, and which leads to some really cool car chases. And as he gets further into the gang, where he meets up with Richard Conte, who's one of the villains, he finds out there's a massive conspiracy going on, and it turns out his boss was right, who's investigating a conspiracy, that there was something else going on. So he's investigating that within being undercover and with these gangs. That's all I'll say about it. The plot. What I've got to say is, the action's tremendous. For a low-budget Italian movie, the action is very much, we've seen the French Collection, and we're going to go crazier than that bloody film. We're not going to have any permits. They do have some really cool stunts, and basically you get a sense of wherever they're shooting, you did not want to be there just in case. But it's great fun. I mean, there's 2 or 3 really cool car chases. Plus an addition scene where Miranda had to show Conte how good a driver he is. So there's lots of good car stuff. There's some nice character moments as well. Even though Miranda's not the greatest of actors, he does fine. Once he's actually undercover, he's a lot better. But he's still playing this iconic type of character. He's very much a guy with his emotions close to his chest. But they make it work. Now, there's certain things in the film I thought, for psychological reasons and plot, it could have been expanded upon a bit more. It's not as interesting as some of Martino's other films like Torso and Vice's, I can't remember, the one with Vice to cover and Room is Locked, or whatever, I can't remember the titles now. They had more interesting psychological stuff going on, but this one is more an action movie. And there are some nice twists, and it does have a 70s nihilism that works. And its view of the police is a bit more interesting than the tough ones. It's much more aware of corruption within the police force and people not doing their jobs very well, in the sense of the criminals are getting away with things because the police are terrible. And the criminals actually, showing the criminals actually a lot of time being like low on the luck people, rather than just being like snivelling psychos a la the first section of the film or the tough ones. In this one, the criminals are much more down the luck people. They're junkies, they're people who hate society for what society's done. And it's just a more complicated look at society, and it makes the cop look a bit weird at times. So there's a lot of interesting things going on. but there's still a narrative momentum keeping going. Now, sometimes the narrative is a bit clunky, but it's still very enjoyable. And you just have a sense of watching this film that you're watching a film made by a director who knows what he's doing. He might not have the greatest script, and there's a sense that sometimes they're making stuff up as they go, but there's a solid base to what they're doing, and it's always entertaining. It's one of those films you could remake this film and take off some of the kind of rough edges, and you'd have a really good film. You know, if you had a really strong actor on this in the centre and adjusted a few things, like you'd have to change the conspiracy at the centre because it's very much tied to what Italy was in the 70s more than what would be working now. But you could still do a lot here and it'd work. So you have another Kim Newman, Barry Forshaw commentary, and you have like different interviews with people involved in the film, the lead actor, the writer, the director. A lot of good stuff on the box. But basically I would say just watch this film. I've tried to avoid giving away much of the second half, just giving the general sense of it, but it really works. So these are another two Italian crime films I'd say go watch, but especially Violent Professionals. It's definitely one. The Tough Ones is more of a guilty pleasure movie, but Violent Professionals is a really good movie. With a couple of bad ideas, but mainly really solid. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll be back with some more. Bye.